You guys, good morning, everybody. The news is in. According to a report in Atlanta, Georgia, the AJC, the Atlanta Journal-Constitution, now giving word what the judge has decided. Apparently, Fani Willis can decide for her own if she wants to stay or leave the case and take Nathan Wade with her. So we're waiting for more information on this. Welcome to Friday. Dana's got the day off today. I'm Bill Hemmer, live here in New York City with my friend and colleague in tow. Here we go. It's going to be a ride.
It certainly is. We're getting some very big news this morning. So good morning, everybody. I'm Martha McCallum, and this, of course, is America's Newsroom. We understand, as you just pointed out, Bill, that this decision is in. Judge McAfee said he would give himself a 2-week deadline.
Right. That
landed on today. So we have all come to know this judge a little bit over the course of the last couple of months. His name is Scott McAfee. He did decide today, and he gave himself that 2-week deadline, as I mentioned. And the decision that he has had to make is whether to disqualify the Fulton County DA, Fani Willis, in response to allegations that she was dating her lead prosecutor when she hired him. And the accusation is that that was part of a motivation for hiring him, and that then the two took some rather fancy vacations together, and that they may have benefited financially from this business arrangement, which it was alleged she created for that purpose.
So Donald Trump's team and his co-defendants say this is all a disqualifying conflict of interest. The case should be thrown out because of it. All these allegations prompting heated testimony. We watched it live. You're going to hear now from one of the first witnesses on behalf of Trump's attorneys. She's now a former friend and former colleague of Fani Willis. She was emphatic. She said she remembered the timeline and she remembered the action when she asked her questions about Nathan Wade.
And do you understand it that their relationship began in 2019 and continued until the last time you spoke with her? Yes.
As it relates to having the 2022 relationship with District Attorney Willis, I want to say, because my marriage was irretrievably broken, I was free to have a relationship.
You've been intrusive into people's personal lives. You're confused. You think I'm on trial. These people are on trial for trying to steal an election in 2020. I'm not on trial, no matter how hard you try to put me on trial. I don't need anything from a man. A man is not a plan. A man is a companion.
Well, that is just a slice of what we got from the DA, Fani Willis, in Georgia through the course of all of this. We've got analysis from former federal prosecutor Andrew Cherkasky. But first, let's go to Jonathan Seri, who's been covering this case all along in Atlanta. Big morning, Jonathan.
Yeah, very big morning. The story is unfolding as we speak. The Atlanta Journal-Constitution is reporting that Fulton County District Attorney Fani Willis has been ordered to either step aside or she has to cut ties with her special prosecutor in the case, Nathan Wade, before the case can go to trial. Attorneys for former President Trump and several of his associates had asked the judge to disqualify the DA from prosecuting the case. They argue Willis's romantic relationship with prosecutor Wade creates a conflict of interest. Willis and Wade have testified under oath. The relationship began after Willis hired him, but Willis also faces challenges outside the courtroom. Take a listen.
The biggest risks that Fani Willis has are political in nature. She has an election coming up, which is now contested both in the primary and in the general election.
And as for the case itself, Judge McAfee struck down 6 counts against former President Trump and 5 of his associates, saying the prosecution failed to provide enough details on how the defendants allegedly committed the crimes. Now, if Willis remains on this case, if she remains the chief prosecutor, she'll have to decide whether she appeals that decision on the 6 counts, whether she seeks a new indictment, or whether she goes ahead and prosecutes the case on the remaining 35 charges. But again, according to this reporting by the Atlanta Journal-Constitution, DA Fani Willis has a major decision to make, whether she removes herself from the case or whether she cuts ties with Special Prosecutor Nathan Wade. Back to you guys.
Okay, a couple of things here, Jonathan. Do you know when the judge will be in court? Will that be today or not? And based on the reporting, I know it's slim thus far, Do we know if he gave her a deadline to give him an answer, meaning the judge?
Yeah, we don't know about a deadline. This ruling was issued by the judge outside of the courtroom, entered in the computer system. It has just now appeared, and we are now scouring it along with the rest of you, trying to figure out the details.
All right, well, we'll give you some space to get that done. Jonathan, thank you with the breaking news.
The DA were to step aside, as we mentioned, this will delay the trial even further because a new prosecutor's office will have to take on this case, go through the files, go through the evidence, go through everything that this office has already worked through.
Yeah, absolutely right. And this is not, I'm saying something that I think you all know if you're watching this. This is not a normal case. It is a particularly complex one with exceedingly high stakes and incredibly well-known, prominent defendants that are well defended as well. So any new district attorney's office, if it gets to that point, and we don't know, it's all going to hinge on DA Willis's decision on what to do of these two options. But if she chooses to keep Nathan Wade on the case, well, that means really no one stays on the case. Her whole office is disqualified. And what happens procedurally in Georgia is that the oversight body for prosecutors statewide, known as the Prosecuting Attorneys Council of Georgia, will in effect take custody of the case. And it will then be their responsibility to find a new home, a new district attorney to pursue the case. That process of finding that new home could take months. The new DA, once they are onto the case, will surely take months just to get up to speed on the more than 19 total defendants that were in this case. They've got to reread all the evidence. And then importantly, they have full autonomy over what happens in that case. So if we get to a point where this case finds a new home, a new DA is overseeing it, they may decide to pursue it in some other form that, this is all hypothetical here, we're telescoped way out, but they could decide maybe some of these defendants they don't want to pursue after all. So this decision DA Fani Willis has to make has some major ramifications.
Yeah, and we do know that 4 defendants, they did take pleas. If a different prosecutor's office were to take on this case, will those plea agreements still stay in place?
Yes. Yeah. Okay. Plea agreement, those are finalized, those are done.